Good morning, students. Today we're gonna start our next economic topic, that is economic growth and factors affecting economic growth. So, concept of economic growth. It means increase in the market value of the goods and services produced by an economy over time. It implies sustained expansion in effective labor force, capital, volume of internal and external trade, and level of consumption of an economy. So, economic growth is mainly depend on internal and external trade, their effective labor forces, or the level of the consumption, means how people use their currency or use their income for the consumption. So it has been one of the principal objectives of a planning in India. Economic growth is measurable and objective. Real per capita income is the most reliable indicator of economic growth. If you want to see the economic growth in some country, so you have to study their real capita income, means the consumption power of their people. How is economic growth measured? Economic growth in a country is measured by the country's gross domestic products, that is GDP, in 1 year. So, what is GDP? GDP is equal to the total amount of final goods and services produced in 1 year within a country. So, GDP is basically the final goods that produced by an country in one financial year, and avoid double counting, avoid transfer of payments, etc., and depreciation also. Economic growth in India. See, since independence, India has made significant progress in several areas of economic and human development. Food production has grown to provide adequate level of food security. For this, our government make a 5-year plans to achieve such progress. Infrastructure development has proceeded with good speed. A vast pool of trained human resources has been developed. A vast network of development institutions has been nurtured. So we develop our human resources and provide them skill enough to increase their capacities, and we develop our infrastructures like communication, transportation, and we develop our technology, and we go to select modern technology to make economic growth. See, food and nutrition. During the past 50 years, food grain production has increased nearly fourfold, from 50.8 million tons to about 203 million tons. Yet more than half of the population of children remain undernourished. But see, we increase in 50 years in a in a very fast speed, but this food is again not enough for our increasing population to deal with it. Next one, education. Literacy has increased about more than threefold from 18.33% in 1951 to 65.83% in 2001. So we see how much, or how we educate or we increase our literacy. Yet more than one third of the total population is still illiterate. For females, the population of illiteracy rate is 55, means still 55% women were illiterate. Water. More than 80% of the population have access to safe drinking water, but quality problems and contamination threatens the growth. So more than 80% population drink safe water, means safe drinking water. See, but quality problems and contamination threaten the growth. Um, Health. During the years 1950 to 2001, life expectancy almost doubled from 32 to 62 years. Means in 1950, our life expectancy is 32. Means uh, in up to age 32, people died, but we increase in double numbers, that is to up to 62 years. Infant mortality has been halved from 146 to 74 per thousand births in the same period. Death rates came down to 9%. Even so, each year about 2.2 million infants die in our country. So, this is the areas we look out for. Income poverty. In 1950-51, the proportion of rural population living below the income poverty line or below poverty line was 65% people. So out of 100 people, 65% lived in below poverty line. It came down to 26% by 1999 to 2000. Income poverty also fell in urban areas and currently it is 24%, and in rural areas it has to 27%. See, this is the India GDP growth rate annually, year from 2000 to 2012. On y-axis we see percentages, on x-axis we see different years. So basically, our GDP mostly rise from decade 2003 to 2007. In 2008, um, we do not increase our GDP, that is fall up to 3.8%, and again in 2009 it reached to 8.3 or 4%, but highest GDP level we achieved in 2010, that is up to 10.5%, and again in 2011 and 12 we see slightly decreasing the GDP growth rate. Factors affecting economic growth. Economic growth is a function of multiple socio-economic variables. These could be considered as a factors affecting economic growth. So factors affecting economic growth can broadly be classified into two categories, namely economic factors, so natural factors, human capital, investment in capital goods and entrepreneurships are those economic factors affecting economic growth. Non-economic factors, social factors, political factors and demographic factors are the factors are affecting economic growth. So non-economic factors affecting economic growth. Social factors. First one, social factors. So, social institutions exert a determining influence on economic progress and can either help or hinder the progress of a nation. So, in underdeveloped countries, social institutions and structure do not provide proper necessary atmosphere and proper conditions for scientific growth. The important social institutions in India are caste system, joint family system, religious belief, and their customs. Whereas in a developing and developed countries, social institutions and structure pave a way for successful economic growth. People believe more in their hard work rather than in their fate. This improves their performance, contributing to economic progress. Political factors. There are often political factors involved in why some countries remain poor, and one of those in a bad government, right? So governments need to do lot of things to encourage development. So they encourage their country's people to and motivate them to be more involved in the economic development. They need to build and maintain infrastructure and raise and spend finance wisely on the right projects. They also need to set up their laws and business practices in a way that encourages investment and initiative, that protect businesses and individuals legally, and that honor property rights, contracts, and copyrights. Demographic factors. People's economic behavior varies at different stages of life. So sometimes a country's age structure can have and significant effects on its economic performance. Nations with a high proportion of children are likely to devote a high proportion of resources to their care, which tends to depress the pace of economic growth. Those countries which have more young children or infants, so they spend lot of money to care them, to nourish them, and that hampered the economic growth. By contrast, if most of a nation's population falls within the working ages, the added productivity of this group can produce a high level of economic growth, assuming that policies to take advantage of these are in place. In fact, the combined effect of these large working age population and health, family, labor, financial, and human capital policies can create virtuous cycles of wealth creation, and it provides boost to grow. And if a large proportion of a nation's population consists of the elderly, the effects can be similar to those of a very young population. So young population plays a vital role in the growth of economy. So to improve the demographic factors, such governments may provide better education facilities and create awareness among people related to hard work and not follow the cultural aesthetics or cultural thoughts, or or turn them to motivate and and develop different skills. And if such things happens, so we see they do work, or they do hard work to achieve more and more success, and these things will encourage or increase our economic growth, right? Like India, we have world's youngest population, uh, but 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 we don't have enough facilities, or we don't have enough modernization techniques, or sometimes our cultural beliefs hampered our progress, and and our labor, and sometimes our health, our families, or our human capacities cannot create such an impact to improve our economic conditions, right? So like India, they eagerly focus on younger generations to develop them more passionately, more effectively, more courageous. Okay. So conclusion. To sum up, The factors that are the basic determinants to the economic progress are natural resources, like including land, minerals, water, forests, etc. The quantity and quality of country's population, that is demographic factors. The technological innovations, including discoveries, inventions, etc. Entrepreneurial skills, social and institutional factors, and a stable government. So see, the stable government is very must condition if you want to make economic progress. And it is an efficient working class. So working skilled working class is the key to develop our economy. So favorable external circumstances and prospects of foreign trade also promote growth. If you want to make our economy progress, we have to improve our export, right? So these are the reasons behind the economic growth. So today lecture is over. I hope you understand very well about our economic growth and how we channelize or how we improve our economic growth. So thank you. Goodbye.